Hello. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending where you are. Welcome to Fireside Chat Fridays. We have been on a little hiatus, but we are hopefully back now with exciting new guests from all around the world. And we will start our conversation in just a moment. We have a youth leader who will be joining us today, and we are very excited to be hosting him and for a chance to talk with him and learn from his experience and a chance to share that with all of you. So we will start in just a moment. As always, feel free to drop your comments and questions in the chat, and we will do our best to include your comments and questions in our conversation. So we are just about to start, and we will jump right into what we have planned for you today. Christopher, if you are on this call, can you send me yes, thank you. A little technical glitch, but we are ready to go.
Hello.
Hi, you made it. Welcome.
Yeah, I made it. One second, just share. All right.
Oh, great. So I'm going to do a super quick intro, and then we will jump right into the questions. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Perfect. So for our guests, so my name is Haneen, and I'm representing Voices for a World Free of Nuclear Weapons. I'm your host for today's live with our guest, Cristopher Cruz. Cristopher is a student and co-founder of Nuke Free Schools, which is a high school project aimed at informing students of all ages about nuclear issues. And he has given presentations all around the world about the importance of youth inclusion. And that is part of what we're really excited to chat with him about today. He is also the communications coordinator for CTBTO Youth. And for those of us a little new to these terms, we will ask Cristopher what that's about. And then thank you, Cristopher, really for all you do, for your inspiring work, and of course for joining us today and talking about all of this. So for folks joining us for the first time, I just want to let you know a little bit about Voices as well. Voices is an interfaith and intercultural group advocating for nuclear abolition from an intergenerational, ethical, and faith-based perspective. Our leaders span from youth leaders, such as the one we have with us today, to seasoned diplomats and politicians. And we invite all of you to the fold to share these moments with us during Fireside Chat Fridays as we talk about the nuclear issue, our role with different leaders who are shaping and changing the nuclear abolition landscape. So, as always, please do share your questions and comments in the chat. This video will for sure be available for viewing after the broadcast as well. So thank you for tuning in today. So Christopher, thank you for being with us, and I'm just going to jump right in and ask you what inspired you to join this field of work.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for inviting me on board for this. It's a pleasure. What inspired me to do disarmament and non-proliferation work for nuclear weapons? That's a multifaceted response that I have, but I think the best way I can put it in bullet points is the collaborative attitude, the ability to engage with people that I I don't think I would normally meet outside of this kind of realm or field, if you will. Um, it's interesting that nuclear weapons are an existential threat to humanity, and yet it's still just not as imminent for some people. And it's not to put it against climate change. I agree that climate change is important, but nuclear weapons also have the capability of like just destroying our climate due to their scientific nature. Um, and as someone who is an individual of color in the United States, it's also interesting to see the lack of minority representation in the subject. And in my own community in Los Angeles, just it's not a topic that many people will notice or even pay much attention to. So those are the reasons why I'm in this and why I want to change the conversation and get more people informed and involved.
That's amazing. I think it's such an exciting time, really. It's such an exciting time to, I think, to be participating in some of these really big conversations. I think especially as, like you said, people who are normally not part of, or who normally don't have a seat at the table, or who normally don't think about some of these issues are now beginning to are now beginning to develop a voice, and I think that's a large part of what we at Voices for a World Free of Nuclear Weapons are also about. So thank you for sharing that and for taking the leap, really, because I think it's a trailblazing kind of work. So, and I'm sure I see this in my work. I see this with so many other youth that it's just inspiring to see each other, and that can help all of us do more. So that kind of does lead to my second question, Christopher, and I wonder, if over the course of your work, especially with with some of what you've been talking about, like were there any particular, how's it been for you? And were there any particular challenges or opportunities that really stood out as you sort of embarked on this journey?
Yeah, like I said, it's interesting being, I guess, the only person of color in the room sometimes. Um, for me, growing up, I did have like multicultural friends, but I still felt that disconnect at times, and I thought it was just like a situational thing. But then I come into this field, and it's something similar, but at the same time, I already feel seasoned for it. And so just I think just the sheer fact that I'm in the room is a bit of a shock for a lot of people, for better or worse. And so just learning to navigate that, and are these people welcoming, or are these people just, I don't know, uncomfortable by my presence in the room? But at the end of the day, what I try to stress is, we're here for a purpose, and we're here to eliminate these weapons and reduce the risk of just destroying our lives and the lives of many other people. Um, and I may not be a very smart Einstein scientist stereotype, or a politician, but I've had the pleasure of speaking with notable dignitaries and other high profile individuals, both in the United States and abroad. And that's a privilege. And I don't want to get stuck on, that was a cool experience and just leave it at that. No, like, I want to encourage other people to take part in that and open up opportunities so that that becomes the norm, if that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Again, I think it's kind of part of like what you were saying as well, right? Like, sort of sharing the inspiration, right? Like letting that energy kind of
Yeah.
let it be contagious, and I love that. I think that's amazing. Yeah, and so a lot of your work, Christopher, has been around, I guess, youth inclusion, right? Like, when we
Yeah.
were talking offline, it feels like that's one of the things that's really, closest to your heart, and again, so important for the field at large, for having more of that voice and that perspective, and then also because something that I always sort of think about is like the youth are folks that will ultimately be handed down this responsibility. Like it's they're building the world that we or to rephrase that, we're setting the stage for their world in a way, and they
Yeah.
are the future. Yeah. And so I guess, tell us a little bit about that. Like, tell us about your vision for youth inclusion in this space. In an ideal world, what's the goal? What's the dream? And yeah.
Well, so if I got started in this when I was 16, I'm currently 20 years old. So you're still on the young side and still on the like the prospective list for a lot of people. But honestly, the fact that this group, the CTBTO youth group, took a chance on me as a 16-year-old. This is a group that's composed by a lot of young professionals, and like in the United Nations definition of young professionals, people in their late 20s, early 30s, that have already gotten like their second master's degrees. And yet, this group is composed by a lot of people like that. And then here I am at 16 joining the group.
Wow.
And so, I didn't, at that point, I didn't even have like a high school diploma. But just the fact that they were supportive and encouraging for me to, get involved, even if it's just through their angle on disarmament. It was encouraging for me to, I took that experience and I try to put it into the nuclear education project that I started in high school called Nuclear Free Schools. So Nuclear Free Schools started off as just a 20-minute presentation for a conference that the Center for Nonproliferation Studies puts on for high school students every spring since 1998. And I participated in 2017, got to fly out to Japan for free for a week. It was a childhood dream come true in a way. And so I got to talk about the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. And as a way to get people talking about it, our solution, like my solution for that in that presentation was creating a sort of nuclear-free school, a school that encourages dialogue on nuclear threats and the importance of reducing risk and ultimately abolishing them. Mm-hmm. And so what we did there was declare our high school a nuclear weapons-free zone. And as far as I can tell, we are the only school in the world, or at least in the United States, to do so. And because
that's so cool.
My high school was yeah, that's like a thing we can brag about. But not many people really understand like the importance of it, but we're working on that. And yeah, so the high school is predominantly composed of Latin American and Black students. And so again, students, individuals from communities that, stereotypically wouldn't be associated with this career field or, topic in general. And so it's about broadening their perspectives. I don't speak just for myself. I know several of my friends and former classmates that were a part of that project in high school, got to meet lots of people.
Hmm.
from around the world, from places they've never, even imagined, I guess. Um, and so just accessibility and just broadening horizons. So what I would like to see is more students engaged with one another, empowered to speak on the issues they feel passionate about, especially on the importance of getting rid of nuclear weapons. So there's my answer to that question.
No, that's amazing. And you did this, Christopher, after you joined the CTBTO, the so just so I can
The
uh
timeline. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So you mentioned that you were uh you sort of took the inspiration from being a part of that group and that kind of is that part of what helped fuel the Nuke Free Schools thinking, or was there more that more in that mix?
So okay. So here's the timeline in a bullet point fashion. So it's fall 2016, and one of my he's not my teacher, but he was the school assistant director. And he walked into a class, one of my U.S. history classroom, and he opened up the opportunity to apply for this program called the Critical Issues Forum.
Hmm.
That forum is put on by the Center for Nonproliferation Studies and the Middlebury Graduate School in Monterey, California.
Cool.
And
Yeah.
that forum is meant to include high school students in this field and get them to present a project every year. So that year, that spring of 2017, I got to fly out to Japan, give that presentation on CTBT and the nuclear free school concept. And I got to meet the executive secretary of the CTBTO, Dr. Lucina Zerbo.
Hmm.
From there, he saw a glimpse of my presentation and invited me personally to fly out to Vienna that summer of 2017 for his Science and Technology Conference for an extended presentation of the nuclear free schools concept. At that point during the summer, that concept became officially known as nuclear free schools. And since then, I've been involved with that group, and my experiences there have, as well as other, personal experiences of mine and other students, were just, combined and cobbled together to make that project.
No, that's
And
that's incredible, really.
that was before college.
Yeah, yeah, it's wow. I mean, it's like so often, Christopher, when we talk about these issues, and I mean, I wonder if you face this in your line of work as well, but there's always this question of like, what can we do? We're just students, or we're just one person, and I feel like what you've been saying is really part of the answer to that, really. Like, that there's this, incredible challenge, and then within that, there is a almost like a hidden opportunity, and that you can kind of like get,
Yeah.
super creative with. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. And, do you want to say more? I mean, this is just so rich and so incredible. Like, do you want to say more about either the CTBTO youth group work or Youth Free Schools, or both, just to give us more of a glimpse into what this work entails, and how that journey has been for you.
Um, well, the first thing I want to talk about is just something that came to mind was just like creating opportunities for like youth and how do you get more youth involved. So a lot of the times it's just the easy answer is give them something to do. For I want to applaud like ICANN for the work they're doing right now because they're they're like irritating a lot of the nuclear weapon states just because they're going about it in this very like people's like perspective about it, and
Hmm.
it feels welcoming for a lot of people.
Hmm.
But then there's also individuals that aren't like activists, and I don't mean that in a mean way. It's they're more technical or more like policy oriented, and sure, there's ways for that to do that. One way in which I've seen the youth group, the CTVTO youth group, have done great strides in this like area is providing opportunities for young scientists and young technical experts to get involved in the ways that the verification regime, I guess it's what it's called, where they monitor the world for nuclear tests. Um,
Yeah.
it's how do you monitor the world for nuclear tests? Well, you need a lot of scientists who know how to operate seismic stations, infrasound, radionuclide, and that's not just for like how does one like get to know about more about that and just you know let's have a chat with one of our experts and setting up opportunities for people to network and get to know each other.
Mm,
And that seems very like higher ed level.
mm,
But I remember like in high school, I had classmates and friends who were like, I want to, do this in medicine or something. And there shouldn't be a fear of starting early. There's
mm.
really no such thing as starting too early. Yeah, I understand that there might be concerns about like maturity, but I think a lot of the time the people that are truly interested in these, wonky circles, they're pretty mature and they know what they're getting themselves into. Um, yeah. So nuclear free schools and uh, the critical issues forum, I guess, are just two opportunities for engaging high school students to, break ground and just gain exposure. At the end of the day, if they get exposed, we're hoping that they get more involved. And those who really want to do this kind of stuff, they will not go unnoticed. I swear. If it happened with me and a lot of other people, it will happen with them too.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I think, again, just to spotlight some of what you've said, Christopher, like one, there is a lot of opportunity for inclusion and a lot of opportunity for creativity because this field is it needs it just needs more of both of those things. And
Yeah.
if you're a young person out there who cares about about security and safety and or even who's just curious about this, right? Like it's not we're not all experts. We all don't know everything. In fact, we sometimes know very little, but it's I think just sort of nurturing that curiosity and being willing and able to reach out to people who can help you be more curious, because these questions always lead to more questions. Christopher, is there anywhere that you would recommend folks to either reach out or something for them to check out online? Anything at all
Sure.
that, yeah, yeah.
Well, in true fashion, I really want to promote nuclear free schools. Just the idea you can of like setting your school as a nuclear weapons free zone as a symbolic stance against nuclear weapons, and as an opportunity to create like your own club on campus. You can check out our website at nuclearfreeschools.com. We're also available on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook at Nuke Free Schools. If you're, I guess, a young individual or looking to be more on the technical side, or even just learn more on how to, I'm communications coordinator at the CTVTO youth group. So it's okay. I don't know all the technical or scientific things, but I try to keep up because communication is part of my job there. So that resource is available at youthgroup.ctvto.org. And obviously the Youth for Disarmament pages and accounts by the United Nations Office for Disarmament Affairs. They are a fantastic resource on, doing a deep dive into nuclear topics, threats, and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Thank you. Yeah, and also maybe for a sense of what like other people in this space are doing, right? Like just to see where the community is at. So I think that's fantastic. Christopher, do you wanna do you wanna educate us a little bit about the CTBTO, like really like what that is, just in terms of what the youth group, like the
Yeah.
mandate of the youth group, just so we just so I can learn a little bit, and anyone else who might have interest might be able
Sure,
to learn
sure,
about
sure.
us a little more. Yeah.
So the CTBTO is short for the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization, and it's an international governmental organization. Hopefully, I'm quoting that correctly. And they're based in Vienna, and the preparatory commission is located at the Vienna International Center, basically the UN headquarters in Austria. And what they do is they oversee the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. The Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty still has not yet entered into force. It still needs the support from various states. Some of them are the United States. One of them is the United States, me being American, that's like the first one that comes to mind. And the CTBTO is in charge of encouraging states to sign on and join the treaty. And the benefits of joining this treaty is creating a global community and a network pool of information that's, I mentioned earlier, seismic infrasound radionuclide stations. And these are stations that are used to monitor the world for nuclear explosions. But they can also work for detecting earthquakes, tsunamis. When the Fukushima disaster happened 10 years ago, the stations that are hooked up to the International Monitoring Station, that system picked up the information off the coast of Japan and sent it to the International Data Center, where all that information is compiled and reviewed for, technical and scientific purposes. So it's kind of niche and at times can be kind of exclusive, but the goal is to create a more cooperative scientific community, global scientific community. Now, the CTBTO youth group is not affiliated with the CTBTO, but is a collective of volunteers, young individuals, students, young professionals, experts, who want to see the entry into force of this treaty. And they, put in their work from all different angles. They might be young journalists, they might be young scientists or technical experts, or even aspiring politicians and diplomats. And it's like our model it's like our model UN to the CTBTO in a way. So it's not role playing in the sense for the sake of role playing, but it's practicing for a point in time where the CTBT can enter into force and legally prohibit nuclear explosions worldwide. I hope that answers the question. If not, go for it.
No, this is fantastic. I'm learning so much, Christopher. Really, I just want to say thank you for elaborating on just so many different aspects of your work and for inspiring me to go and look all of this up and maybe come back with more questions at some point. But this is just it's incredible to think about all of this amazing collaborative work that is happening, that is bringing the world together in new and exciting ways. I know how we always talk about nuclear issues as so divisive and so polarizing in a way, right? Like it can
Yeah.
really be like either you're on this side or you're on that side, and how do you reconcile those two? But when you tell me about an initiative like Nuke Free Schools, which is talking about just high schools anywhere in the world being
Yeah.
symbolically and so powerfully saying that they are nuclear weapon-free zones, and I encourage folks who are listening to check out nuclear weapon-free zones and just that idea and concept as well, and see how it's so creative to think about that applied to high schools, and then also Christopher, what you mentioned about the CTBTO being an opportunity for scientific collaboration around the world, right? Like having more of that, just that exchange of creativity, finding, bringing the community together to find solutions in new ways. I think this might be a little radical of me to say, but I think this is kind of the flip side of facing such a huge existential threat that it kind of forces us to think in new and maybe unprecedented ways about how we can work together. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, thank you for reminding us about that and so tangibly sharing some of the ways in which it's happening. I'm just blown away, and we wish you all the very best with your initiative. And so, I think I'm ready for our final question, which is always
Okay.
very exciting for me. Unless you wanted to add any thoughts before we conclude.
No, not go for it.
Okay, good. Okay, sure. So I wonder, Christopher, if there is one wish or hope or dream or prayer or even a quote that you would, want to leave us with today about your vision for world free of nuclear weapons, or your vision for our future, for our shared future as young people.
That's a good one. Okay, I got to think about this one really quick. I think, and enjoying my own experiences, there's an inherent beauty in meeting more people. And I don't mean that, like, a lot of extroverts will say, like, no, he's being extroverted. No. I think just the fact that we can talk to each other and, like, meet and just learn more about each other is beautiful. And I've been doing this through, like, nuclear weapons, like, abolition work or whatever. But that this, like, our in working towards a more peaceful world, that we value the humanity in each other. And I think once we, like, accept that humility, there is a certain joy that, like, can keep us going forward.
Amen to that, Christopher. Like, amen.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so
May the
much.
powers that be grant that.
I am just so grateful for for this chance to have been able to talk with you today, and for all that you've shared, and for what you do and what you bring to this space. And I encourage. I think everyone who wants to have a seat at the table has something really valuable to offer. So if folks out there are on the fence, or they're curious, just encourage.
And if there's not a seat at that table, go make your own table.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you did. Yeah. So thank you, Christopher, and all best wishes for your initiative. I will share the online links when we post this video, and we hope to talk more with you in future. All the best. Thank you.
Likewise, and thank you for the privilege of your time.
Thank you so
Bye.
much, Christopher. Bye.